Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to Phil's Recap and Review. Better Call Saul, Season 3, Episode 2, Witness. And here are two guys, Joe and Phil, that really love collecting bottle caps. Now, we do it just for the hunt. Not really for any other reason. And when we do buy bottle caps, thanks to Papa Larry, we know to keep them in their packages. Do not open the bottle cap.
Oh, yeah.
Keep them attached to the bottle. But welcome back, everyone, to the Better Call Saul podcast. If this is your first time joining us, please jump with all of our friends in the live motherfucking chat while you're watching this episode, while you're watching this recap, and share your thoughts. If you're listening to this later, please share your thoughts on this season of Better Call Saul so far in the comment section below. This was a big episode of Better Call Saul in the sense that we were introduced to two, I know one at least, one I'm not sure about, Breaking Bad characters. Three possible Breaking Bad characters, two definitely, three possibly, if I recognized one character correctly. And we also have Joe with us for the very first time to talk about that. Hey. How's it going today, Joe?
Oh, it goes good.
Good to have you. Good to have you back in studio. Oh, we got Broke Black Man, Red Walrus, Renwood. Great to see everyone in the live motherfucking chat. Sam Crow. Great to see everyone. Sorry I couldn't come on last night. Yesterday was a clusterfuck day, and I didn't get a chance to watch the episode till later. Sometimes these Better Call Saul reviews will be the next day around this time. Probably they'll either be around this time or right after the episode. So, Joe, if anyone wants to get their thoughts in, we have a voicemail line open, 781-990-8509. 781-990-8509. You can also email me at IGotIssuesMan or tweet me at IGotIssuesMan. Or just, as I said, if you see me on the road, throw a piece of paper curled up off the side of my head and goes, "This is the fucking question for the show, asshole." Any one of those ways, I will take it. I'll start with my thoughts just quickly on this episode. I like this episode a lot better than the first episode. I feel like it was a logical second part to it. And I think a lot of the things that got built up in that first episode, any complaints that I might have had, everything kind of got answered in this episode. I'll get into a little bit of maybe some of the problems I have with the blasphemy, the Mike section of what's going on. But I do have a little bit of a problem with the way that's stretched out to a certain extent, only just because I love so much of what happened with Saul and Mike tonight. I love so much of all the Chuck stuff that I want, like, I want to say 60% of these last two episodes have no dialogue in it. And that's not a problem for me. But when the dialogue comes, it's like you're starving for it and it slaps you across the face and is beautiful. I'm really loving these two episodes. I'm loving the direction that the season is going. And then the quick pace when they decide to pick shit up and really go for it, that they amp it up. That's something that they did a lot in season 2. And I like how they did it in this episode too. I'm really feeling this season so far. Joe, how about you?
Absolutely feeling this season. It's fantastic the way they can keep you entertained and keep you engaged without having, all this exposition in their dialogue and without having to tell you the story through their words. They can show you the story, and it's truly amazing to have on TV something that it really is a picture's worth 1,000 words, and the silence drives it a lot of the time. It's amazing.
Exactly. Joe, there's just something that it gets said a lot over and over again in film schools and criticals and blah, 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 all that sort of bullshit. But it's so true. Show, don't tell. And Better Call Saul, as well as any other show, this is going to be a lot of shows, a lot of redundancy, shows so well in the way that they even just start a shot or start everything with Mike. There was zero dialogue in the whole Mike section, and you didn't need a second of it. Nope. You didn't need a second of the dialogue of all that.
I mean, it's the beauty of, the lone wolf thing, the fact that he's there doing his job and you get to see him, what he's doing. And we don't need it explained to us. Like, I'd rather see what he's doing than have him go into a shop and like have a 10-second conversation with how he can do this. And then all of a sudden it's just done.
Yeah. The show,
you know what I mean? Like, this is great. He's figuring out, he's showing us that he's figuring out, and he's showing us what he's doing. I like that.
This program shows you so much in colors and sound cues and just in visual, just in the action that you see the characters. Maybe there were a couple of winks to the camera I didn't necessarily love in this episode, and I'll get into that. But for the most part, this was one of my Like, I really loved this episode of Better Call Saul. This was when I felt like, okay, this is back. This is full throttle. I liked episode 1 a lot too, but this kind of just brought me into that next level of so exciting. They know how to end these episodes extremely well too. Broke says, you better rant. And Simcoe says, no, Joe likes this show. Sass says, I love this episode so much. Me too. Claudia says, what? We got Brooke Blackman. Great to see everybody. Chuck purposely allowed that guy to hear my tape, in my opinion. Broke. I agree with you 100%. It was Chuck's plan from the beginning to manipulate Ernesto. Why else would he have him change the batteries in a tape recorder that is already pushed play? Chuck, we've already established that Chuck is someone that covers all of his bases. Maybe you could think he was freaked out because of the electrical aspects of it, but he knew what was going on. That was a second con job by Chuck on Jimmy. He didn't just fuck him once, he fucked him twice, Joe. Jimmy's an idiot.
He has too much faith that his brother will act in his best interest. In their family's interest. Like, there was no doubt that Jimmy would do anything for his brother, right? Until he finds out that his brother's actively been trying to hold him back in a lot of ways.
But even in that point, Joe, he still decides to do everything for his brother.
Right.
Yeah.
And his brother's not the same.
No. And his brother has actually been affected graphically by Jimmy's actions and by the type of person that Jimmy is, and is using that as an influence and taking that into his game, so to speak. I think maybe Chuck was always somewhat of a con man, but I think he's basically, oh, my brother's a con man, I have to battle a con man, so I'm going to learn everything about it. That kind of gets told at the first scene where he understands the holes in the cards for the casino thing, and that's how people used to cheat. Like, his mind's thinking about something else, or it pays credence to the belief that Chuck is just a con man, that this whole time he is just someone that's better. Sorry, Joe, that Martin's better at basketball than you. Chuck is a better con man than Jimmy is, just by natural nature.
Right.
So let's get into the live motherfucking chat here. Gus looking down, staring down at him. Great thing. Jimmy fucked up trying to spy on that drop guy. Hella obvious. Fuck me once, shame on me. Fuck me twice. You better buy me dinner next time. The goat says, so can Jimmy get done from breaking into the desk or for admitting the tape in front of a witness? I think ultimately it's more about the breaking and entering at that point, and then it shows malice, and then it shows that it proves that the tape is real. I bet the tape that Jimmy broke isn't the real tape, and Chuck has the.
No, it wasn't. It was absolutely. It wasn't the same tape. If you watch back, it's plain the tape is different. It's a different brand. It's like white. I thought.
I think so too. It looked a lot different. So Jimmy, and I'm gonna laugh. The Jimmy spy. I'm just gonna go over some of the key points here. Jimmy spying in the scene in Poyos was just so well done. Odenkirk plays awkward insanely well. Such a contrast between the silent action of Mike's scenes and the Chuck and Jimmy dialogue based on the interactions. On this show, you get the salty and the sweet, Joe. You get both sides of it too, because when you get into that dialogue, like right into the Saul Goodman of it all, when you meet Francesca, the secretary, who's the same secretary that he has on Breaking Bad, you start to get into that dynamic, the Saul Goodman dynamic, and it's freaking hilarious. And Bob Odenkirk is hilarious. It balances the show out well, even if you find the Mike stuff kind of dry at times.
Yeah. And one of the things what everybody's forgetting is that isn't just breaking into the desk. That was home invasion. That door was locked. Jimmy kicked the door in. Jimmy made threats at the man that lived there. Jimmy caused destruction of the property that was there in an attempt to steal or destroy something specific. That's a felony offense that can get him disbarred completely.
Yeah, that couldn't have gone better for Chuck in any possible way. That went so well for Chuck. That went better than Chuck ever possibly could have imagined it. And I think Katie actually talked about this last season, and it's very true. Chuck knows how to play into Jimmy's sentimentality, like knows how to play his strings so well and hits every string. The way, Michael McKean is such an insane actor. And the way he looks at Jimmy when Jimmy's challenging him at the end of that episode and the looks that he gives him, like, Jimmy, just so much shame on his face. The shame bell is out. Ding, 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 motherfucker. It's really intense. And as we say a lot with our good it's really real too. It feels real.
It does feel real. I feel their relationship. I really do. It's they play well with each other. You feel like they have history together with each other.
And I don't know if that's because we talk about this a lot, that they're both comics and they both come from that comic improv kind of nature. So they have a sort of kinship, and that's why it was smart to cast another comedic actor with acting chops for the part of Saul's brother. So there is sort of a similarity between them just as performers, even though they're different. Obviously, I'm not saying, I could see in an alternate life. I could see in an alternate lifetime Odenkirk playing Squiggy, or was he Lenny? Whichever one. I could see that, or any Michael McKean part. Bob Odenkirk playing the asshole in Airheads or something like that. I could just see a lot of parts that they could be traded off for. Maybe Saul Goodman couldn't. Bob Odenkirk couldn't have fronted Spinal Tap, but that's because Michael McKean's a crazy musician too, on another level. So we get Sugar Tits in this episode. Huge introduction to a Breaking Bad character, one of the 3 Breaking Bad characters that are introduced in this episode to combine the universes. We get Francesca Sugar Tits, the secretary, who a lot of people can remember from her most prominent part in Breaking Bad when she's shredding documents and Walt shows up to look for Saul, and she's like, I don't know where he is. I don't know. I haven't seen shit unless you pay me $20,000. Listen, I know how much money you make. Give me fucking $20,000. So here's a little line between the two of them in a Breaking Bad episode. Take a break, HG. Let's go. You're going to stop calling me Honey Tits, or I'm going to hang you by your tie. Yeah. Stop showing off for the clients, Honey Tits. I say it's endearing. So great to have that character come into the mix on Better Call Saul. And I love any way that they can bring more of creeping towards that Saul Goodman place. Also, she also phone called Hank to say his wife was in an accident, says the ghost. Yeah, you're killing me with that booty. Hard to believe that Michael McKean played David St. Hubbins in Spinal Tap. It really is. And it's funny that I think up until a couple of years ago,
easy to believe.
Spinal Tap still tours. Like, they tour as a band, and all that music, them and Rob Reiner all wrote together, and it's an all-star lineup. If you think of those main 3, Christopher Guest, Harry Shearer, and Michael McKean, Spinal Tap is anyone who's ever been in a band ever, and even people that haven't enjoy that kind of movie, because it was the best in the first of those kind of movies, I think. It's check out Spinal Tap. It's an extremely amazing movie to see Chuck in his younger days, and he's singing everything. That's all them performing. They're really on the instruments and stuff. Mad Squeen says, getting paid to listen to Phil? What a better way to spend time at work. That is the best time to listen to go while you're getting paid to listen to our silliness. So to get to another Breaking Bad character, and I'm pretty sure someone in the live chat said it too, I'm almost 95% sure that we get a Victor sighting. Now, if people don't remember who Victor is, Victor was one of Gus's underlings.
Oh, right.
The dude that wanted to cook when Walt was fucking with them, where Jesse wasn't showing up, where he goes, I'll fucking cook. Fuck you. And he cooks. And then Gus shows up and takes a box cutter and cuts his neck out. And it's one of the big Gus scenes through all Breaking Bad. And what's interesting to me, that I feel like this is one of those small aspects of Better Call Saul that adds to the overall universe. I always thought, and this is just to go back to Breaking Bad for a second, Joe, I always thought that that Mike brought him in, not the other way around. The way Mike reacted when that happened and how angry he was to Walt, and after everything that happened with Gus and all that, it was just interesting to me that I always thought that Mike was there first before, and he brought in Victor. He was very he had sort of
I never got that feeling.
And everyone said, let's go to the chat. Max says, I love the part when Chuck said that Jimmy is going to sneak in at night. I know my brother. And then Jimmy's song kicks in the fucking door.
I thought that was great too.
Yeah, I don't know why, Joe. I just always kind of had that feeling just because of how he gets there. But then the more we know about Mike now, you're right. Mike's just that kind of person, and when he works with someone, he develops an ownership towards him in the way that he developed towards Jesse throughout Breaking Bad. So it makes sense that even if he worked with them,
if you're smart, you're going to listen to this guy. He knows what he's talking about. He knows what he's doing.
Yep. No.
If you're smart, if you're good at what you do, you take the advice and you watch those who know what they're doing. You know, like if you're not good at what you do, then you already know everything and you can't be taught new things. So you're pathetic. You're obsolete.
You're pathetic, motherfucker. Ren Renwood says Jimmy did hit the mark when he said that this was the reason Chuck's wife left him, and I want to say that's also a big revelation for what we were talking about last year with the Rebecca episode. That did what happened to Chuck's wife, and now we know what happened to Chuck's wife.
Of course, she left him. Of course, she left him.
We questioned at the time play the tape. No, if we listen to the tape, I think we questioned at the time maybe she was dead.
I want to know what happened first, his break with the electronics or she left him.
I'm guessing the breaks with the electronics because
I'm guessing she left him.
She left him, but just the way Jimmy says it, I'm surprised it took her that long to leave you, being this type of person, stuff like that. So it's it's not the electric shit that he's talking about at that moment.
The manipulating, cocksucking. Right. It's the everything else that he's talking about. He's not talking about, she left you because of your sickness. She left you because of the asshole that you are.
You're an asshole.
The fact that you've done this to me forever, that you've probably done the same kind of bad shit to her in your relationship, and that's why she fucking left you.
Yep. And you get that a lot from Chuck in this episode. When he thinks he's right, he is a cocky, annoying douche. The Mad Queen says, the scene I was talking about, my favorite Gus scene, it still haunts me. Mike Ren says, Mike is just one step behind whoever's spying on him up until this point, which I think is Gus. I think it's Gus too, and then Gus got the jump on him at the end of the episode. Claudia says, I kind of getting the feeling that Mike was working for Gus reluctantly. That is a very good point that might make a lot of sense later on as we get into this, and we might get the answer to that, Claudio. Max says, I thought it was obvious it's Gus who's spying on Mike because Mike wanted to shoot Hector Salamanca, and that's his fucking and that is exactly, you basically just said it, Max. You cut through the shit sandwich of what we're going to come to in all of this, that Gus is going to say, listen, I have my own problem with Hector Salamanca, and I'm going to solve this problem myself. You can't kill him. He's mine. Ultimately,
or no, he's smarter than that too.
No, he won't say it directly, but that's why he's
not even by saying it directly. He would rather work with someone that's good at what they do, than say, hands off, it's my kill.
Joe, I've quoted this quote before on the show, and I'll do it again. When John Lennon was playing before Paul McCartney joined the Beatles in his first group, he was playing and he met Paul McCartney. Paul McCartney played this song that no one could play backwards and forwards and sang it in on his head. And John Lennon said, this is a quote. He goes, I said to myself, do I want to be against this guy or do I want to have this guy on my team?
Exactly. You don't why would you want to start butting heads with Mike and trying to beat Mike to the punch or make sure Mike doesn't do it? Now you have a whole second thing to worry about. Is Mike going to fuck you over trying to get at this guy? You take Mike in. You help Mike reach his objective in a safe manner for the both of you, I would imagine. You do what,
Mike is the
you bring in talent that you can work with, right? You don't bring in talent you can't work with. You bring in talent that wants to work with you, that knows what they're doing and knows how to help others do it better.
Which is to go back to Breaking Bad, which is why ultimately Gus's whole point was to get Walt to teach fucking what was that dude's name? The other chemist that Jesse ends up killing. Whatever. Someone's gonna say it in the live chat. That's why he wanted to bring in that guy that he had been priming from the time of he was in grad school and shit. And
Walt was see his face. I can't think of his name.
Gale, I believe his name was. Talent, Sam Crow, talent you can trust. And yes, Mike Paul McCartney. Hello to everyone in the live motherfucking chat joining us today. You guys are fucking amazing. Gail, thank you, Max. Yeah, everyone in the live chat, Mega Gamer. Great stuff. Thank you guys. We can always count on you guys when our brains are when my brain is in lockstep. Okay, so we get Victor sighting, and we get that awful coffee scene. It's funny, blah blah blah. Kim is tough as nails. I actually liked Kim in a lot of parts in this episode when she found out the situation from Ernesto, from Ernie. I like how she sort of took control of the situation from a legal standpoint and kind of gave Jimmy sage advice. I know she's covering her own ass too, but she really did kind of, step up in that situation and get Jimmy in a good position if Jimmy didn't act emotionally. She thought about it as a challenge. As an intellectual challenge to her. What are they trying to accomplish with this? And not even for a second thinking that Jimmy was going to do what Jimmy was going to do. And that surprises me because she knows him, that she should. I guess she should
have known immediately that that's what he was going to do. That he was too emotional.
Bought the con. She bought the mellow con. Have you ever done that, Joe? Like tried to pretend to be calm for a period of time?
You mean like make a phone call or something like that to try to get someone? No.
Or get someone to come outside to feel comfortable before you knock them the fuck out. Have you ever done anything like that, Joe?
No.
No, of course not. Of course not.
Okay. No.
Definitely.
No.
Definitely not.
No. I wouldn't do something like that, dude.
Of course you wouldn't. Of course you wouldn't pretend. Dude, come outside. Come on. It's all cool. So, but I do like Kim giving Sage counsel. I liked Kim in this episode. I didn't like her in the Francesca stuff but once she learned that Francesca can do the job, she was fine. You do see she gets a sense that she's losing the firm and it's becoming Jimmy's place. And I think that bothers her to a certain extent, but I love how she kind of stepped up. And I don't know if it's so much to cover her own ass or that she cares about Jimmy, but I definitely think she cares about Jimmy in her own way. Do you think do you think, Joe, or do you think she's all selfish? What's your opinion on Kim?
I think she's good with Jimmy to a certain extent of how much he's going to break the law or be sneaky and manipulative. I think there's a certain part of her that likes it. Does it make her a bad person? No. Everybody likes a bad boy or a bad girl, but ultimately you don't want to like lose your job, your house, your business, your livelihood over any kind of that shit. So you do what you can to protect yourself and hopefully protect them too, I guess.
Yep. Good, very, very well said, Joe. Mega Gamer says this was such a packed episode. Love Gus, Francesca, Victor, all back. Fucking loved it. She should have known he'd freak out. Says just me again. Great name, just me again. Yep. Waltus Charles, man, that's a great one. Come on, guys. Kim likes Jimmy, but he keeps getting her into trouble. He keeps getting her into trouble. Well said, Claudia.
That's not going to fly for long. That's not going to fly for long. You can't keep even now at this point too, if Jimmy's name hits the papers for any kind of reason, it's going to reflect on her. They share an office, they share a business together. So anything he does, everything he does reflects upon her and will possibly reflect upon her law license, so she might have to, no matter what, he keeps going down this road and keeps doing these stupid things. I mean, we saw the previews for next week. It's not looking like she's going to be able to stick around him no matter what for long.
Yep. And I agree with you in the sense that she's trying the hardest she can in the situation, and I relate to Jimmy in this because I'm a romantic idiot that I don't always think about the real aspects of life when it comes to I'm an idealist sometimes and it's emotions and blah, 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 where Kim in some ways is just being realistic. She doesn't want to lose her job, be disbarred. She doesn't want Jimmy to be disbarred. She's covering her asses on basis. And unfortunately, people in the live chat agree. And she should have known Jimmy would do something like that. She should have understood the emotional level of which Jimmy can go because he's all emotion. That ultimately, I mean, Saul Goodman's different. Jimmy is all emotion. He even his cons, everything. All this is breaking him to Saul. But Jimmy himself, in some ways, isn't. And I know he's a con man, but he's an innocent. He's a good guy at core, and he believes in the goodness of people and goes from his heart first. And Kim can't wrap her head around that. I think. So
she can't. She doesn't quite get that.
No,
but it's also what she likes about him most because it's foreign to her, I think.
Yeah, it's different. Good point, Joe. And on that note, recap. Let's get into the recap of this episode. So the episode opens up and Joe was talking about this at the beginning, and it's really like we could spend 20 minutes just talking about in a really great way. And this is where we talk about slow working in some shows and not working in other shows. I was just going to call it Breaking Bad. Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul. For me, anyways, slow really works. We could have spent an hour on the way that they were shooting the burner and the tea at the beginning, Joe. It just looks so fucking cool. It's just eye candy for me. And I'm a fanboy. Like, don't judge my credibility on this show 100%, guys, because I'm a fucking fanboy. And there's certain things I am fanboys of, and whatever gets put out, I'm like, I fucking love this. Joe, he's an asshole. He'll judge anything. He'll tell you it's good too. Right, Joe?
But here's the thing. They use their camera to tell a story. They don't rely on the exposition that many TV shows like there's Katie and I always joke about it. There's a Mel Gibson movie. I think it might be The Edge of Darkness or one of those movies, recent-ish, where he looks like at somebody and he's like, I'm the man that's got nothing to lose. And that was in the preview. And as far as I'm concerned, that like sullied me on the whole movie altogether. That one line, our main character should not have to tell its audience or his main foil or anybody else down the line that that's who he is. We should already fucking know that through the way that the story is being told. When you have to give us that kind of exposition to move a story along or to make sure your audience gets it, it's bad storytelling. It's bad art form. What we get here in this beginning is we get Mike completely fucking focused. We know exactly what he's doing, who he's going. Well, we don't know exactly who he's going after, but what his goals are for the most part. And we don't have to have him telling some shop guy or telling somebody else, telling Jimmy what he's going to be doing and what he's after and what his motivations are. No, they just show it to us, and they do it well so that we understand what's going on. For example, replacing that tracker last week. He didn't have to tell us that he was going to replace the tracker. They showed it to us. That was fantastic. He figured it out, what it was, how it worked, where to get another one and replace it. Like, I think that's great storytelling, and it was silent and it was perfect.
I don't know what you're talking about, Joe. As Joe and Phil get into the recap and they decide that they're going to talk about different things right now. Isn't that true, Joe? No, I know exactly what you're talking about. I think some shows can get away with it when you're kind of doing a quick comic story or like less deep shows when it's like last time, oh, Joe, the other day when we were fighting this enemy, blah, 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 blah. But for the most part, it does take me out of it and it's obvious. And I like when if you're going to do it, make me aware of it. It's one of those things that I don't mind when people break the fourth wall. You and I were watching Spaceballs the other night on a live rewatch that people want to check that out. Check that out. We talk a lot about that or a little bit about that in the scene where Rick Moranis turns, got all of that? And just turns to the camera and says, got all of that? And when characters do that or a wink to the camera or if they do it in a creative way, I think sometimes it can work. And that's where
it does work.
That's where Joe.
It does work.
Like dream sequences can work for that sometimes for me too, like to put a character in a place. And I know you don't love dream sequences, but sometimes I think that or a flashback can kind of also put you in the situation and it's more effective. But you're right. This is just excellent storytelling from the beginning. We get this beginning scene with the burner and the tea, great visuals. Chuck is watching the entrance to his house intently. We know what he's doing without even having to hear what he's doing. We hear the tea whistle as the man inside with some poker cards at the deck. And he says, Chuck comes over his corner and goes, move up the red 5. The man's cards have holes poked in them, which he explains is what happens when a set of cards are repurposed after they're used in the casino to sell for $1. I love the lighting in this scene too. Chuck's all in blue the whole time, which we talk about this from the very beginning. Better Call Saul really likes to play with the colors. And you see the other guy in the mirror and we see this guy, but we don't really learn who he is at this point. Chuck quickly points out that the holes are poked in the cards are used by cheaters at casinos. Joe, could you explain that a little bit better?
Well, by where the hole is poked, you know what kind of card it is. If you can see it, like if you put like a tack on your finger somehow or something that can make a small mark on the card, you mark the card in the corner if it's an ace, so you can see where aces are, what's next card coming up in the deck, things like that. You just mark the card in a certain area.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't know
It's a
anything.
marked card. It's basically just marked card. That's all.
So Chuck knows all about mark cards, and it's just a fun setup as he's watching and waiting. No reason to really play much of
The red fiver. Oh, yeah.
So after that, we are introduced to Mike's storyline again, as Joe was talking about. We cut to two henchmen in a car. One sleeps, and the other one's looking through a word search puzzle and finds a word called trajectory. It also rocks USA. So Mike, who's watching them and whose trajectory and witnesses leading him right to the doorstep of Breaking Bad villain Gus Fring. I mean, there's not much we can really say about this section, Joe, other than we follow a Mike MacGyver plot. This is what I wanted to say about this scene, Joe, in last week's episode. I forget what show we were talking about. I honestly forget which one it was, but you were ranting about staking out and like staying there and watching and shitting your pants and falling asleep and doing whatever. I forget.
How could you forget?
I forget. Was it The Walking Dead? Was we talking about?
Of course it was. It was Sasha and fucking Rosita.
What? Oh no, we'll not try to go there. Okay, I know many people want to hear you rant about that right now, but my point is, Joe, talk a little bit about the differences between watching a stakeout scene on Better Call Saul versus watching it on The Walking Dead, if you can.
There's no comparison. Like, Mike knew exactly what he was getting into. Every time we've seen him go, like, he brings lunches with him. Like, didn't he bring like something to piss in or something once? Like he knows what he's doing. He knows he might have to sit in that car for a long fucking time. That, like, patience is the only way to go with when you're staking out, when you're trying to, like, he like in the last episode too, again, when he you know, he replaces the tracker of the battery so it dies out and the guy has to come and get it, and he knows he's gonna have to sit in front of that window for a long time.
Yep. Absolutely. Good point, Joe. Let's get to a couple of our voicemails and texts before we get back into our recap and get to Saul and Kim's section. We have a text message from Sam. Let's get into this. Let's see. I got to scroll back to get to the, hey, hope you guys are having a fun stream, and I wish I could have been there because I thought this episode was amazing. Definitely better than last week's episode. I love that Jimmy decided to fight back literally against Chuck. And while he is far from perfect and what he did was incredibly stupid, Chuck got the beatdown he deserved. I just hope Chuck gets what's coming to him legally to him as well, because while it isn't as bad as what Jimmy had done, the whole tape recording situation is illegal as well as an invasion of privacy. I was also really excited to finally see Gus this episode, and the way he was introduced with Jimmy going through his garbage was hilarious. My question on this is, why was Mike tipped off about Gus having Jimmy spy on the transaction there? Did Nacho Tuco Tio want something? My question is, why was Mike tipped off about Gus having Jimmy spy on the transaction? He follows a car there. I watched it twice so I could get it a little bit better. Ultimately, I think Mike just follows a car that's going to Poyos, so he knows that some shit's going on there.
Yep.
At one point, people can correct me if I'm wrong. Finally, my favorite female character ever, full sarcasm, Kim, redeemed herself a bit for me in this episode by being, a friend telling Jimmy about the blind side Chuck did. No question here, just wanted to share a positive Kim thing because I'm an anti-Wexler. Enjoy the stream and go hug yourself. Can't wait to catch up in the live stream later tomorrow. Great point, Sam, and I agree with you about the Kim. I kind of went on that Kim point earlier, and I also agree with you about Chuck, the beatdown he deserved. The one thing I'll say about the legal aspects of it, I thought Kim said at one point in the scene that New Mexico has some law that allowed like one-sided recording or something like that, she says.
Yeah, all states are different. Like some states you can't record a phone call. Some states you can record the phone call. Some states you can't record in person. It's all the states are different. So,
yep. Yes, the guy comes into Pollos Hermanos and the tracker stays, says Claudio. Claudio, perfect, awesome. Yeah, he eats apples. He brought a pimento sandwich once, Joe. Yeah, so, and that's how he knew something was going on there. So our next scene is back at Jim and Kim's shared offices. The two interview someone that is maybe going to be a join the team. And I love this scene. Let's listen to a little bit of this.
Hello?
Oh, hey, come on in.
Hi, I'm Francesca Liddy. I'm here for the interview.
Oh, Jimmy McGill. Hey, are you running early or am I running late?
No, sorry.
I think with her, I'll play a little bit more of this. I think with her, Joe, you get a little bit of a taste of what is often talked about by Peter Gould and Vince Gilligan, that the potentially half an hour sitcom Saul Goodman in his office, people coming in, she would have been a big part of that show, the comedic thing that they originally wanted to do, because her and Bob Odenkirk have excellent timing with each other.
Yeah, they do. The whole show, I can't say enough good things about how well it's done. The timing everybody's got with each other. I hope. I kind of was let down towards the end of Breaking Bad. I felt like they were forced to stretch it out a little bit, but I'm hoping that they don't feel like they need to do that, or they're not forced to do that, and they can pace this show exactly how they want it to be paced, because I really feel the chemistry with everybody through this.
Now, I do want to point out something that I was listening to the Breaking Bad or the Better Call Saul Insiders podcast, and someone asked me, I forget who asked me, I apologize. I do remember the question. I don't remember who it was that asked if there was a plan on how many seasons that they wanted this show to go. Vince Gilligan and Peter Gould talked a lot about how they don't necessarily have a plan going into a season. They kind of write as they go and try to figure out point to point. They said they finally now have sort of a direction with the show. They feel like at times in the first two seasons, they were spinning their wheels a little bit, not sure what to do. That how do we get this awesome guy to be Saul Goodman? How do we get there? All this sort of stuff. They're very, I highly cannot recommend a podcast enough if you're into this show than listening to the Better Call Saul Insiders podcast. It's all the editors, the sound designers, Mike Ehrmantraut are. They have a production designer named Mike Ehrmantraut that is this dude with a really deep voice. And Jonathan Banks was there in the first episode. I can't wait till after I'm done with this so I can listen to the second episode. It's a really awesome inside look. And Vince Gilligan he's a very humble guy. So he admits a lot of shit. And when he doesn't know what he's doing, he'll say, I didn't know what the fuck I was doing there. Like in the first episode, he goes, a lot of time with that mic stuff, we were just trying to figure out where to put that thing, like trying to figure out where to put it. And they decided to put it in the gas cap. They wanted to put it in the gas tank for a while. They went back and forth with a lot of shit. So it's worth checking out. But I want to say that they feel like they're finally on the direction of this show. And that from this point on, that I think they're going to tell a very specific story and then be done with it. I don't think they're going to stretch this show. It's a long.
That's what I'm hoping. I'm actually hoping that, as much as I like it, I don't want to see them ruin it by trying to. I don't go longer than it needs to be or has to be.
I don't think they're those type of guys. From the vibe I get, and who the fuck am I? Who am I the fuck to get the vibe? But the vibe I get from those guys is that they're not that. They want to tell a story, and they want to do this for fun. It's like getting the band back together, and like all the people that work on the show work on other shows, and they come back together to do this almost as a partial passion project because they just all fucking love working together, and it's an interesting vibe. So I think I don't think they're going to stretch this longer because they have a lot of. What's the word? Reference, like a lot of care for the property. So they only want to tell a story that they can tell. So that I don't think they want to stretch it just to stretch it. So great stuff in the live motherfucking chat. Okay, so back at Jimmy and Saul's office, they two interview. She's we get to meet this girl that
It's not a problem. Never bad to be early, except in death and taxes and some other things. Hey, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Does that look straight to you?
We'll talk about that at the end, Sam. Or, no, we'll talk about what do you
Looks
think?
A little blind.
I do want to see where Jimmy goes afterwards. I mean, we know that he goes to be Gene at Cinnabon, but does that end with him dying there? Do we see Saul's death? Vince Gilligan jokes about that in the Insiders podcast when someone asks him that. They go, or or it might have been on Talking Saul too. He might have said the same joke where they go, well, what happened there? And he goes, I don't know, maybe he's dead or something like that. So who knows? You never can tell what would have happened, what happens there. Vince Gilligan said one episode this year would be like the 63rd episode of Breaking Bad too. I heard that as well. So I'm very much excited for that. Okay.
I don't know what that means.
I don't even know what that means either, Joe. It scares me in a good way. So she quit her job at the DMV, but it's not called the DMV in New Mexico. It's called something else. And they have a kind of cool thing back and forth with that. Ultimately, she gets hired. Kim isn't really about it. But like I said, by the end of the episode, she is. And Francesca proves her worth, answering the phones. So much fucking funny shit happens here in the phones. Listen to this.
Would you like to come in for a consultation?
Folksy.
Say, is that a dog I'm hearing? It is? Oh, what's her name?
Yeah, Cracker Barrel. You're supposed to mention Cracker Barrel.
Well, I think it's great you let Margaret play inside. It's a hot one out there. I was thinking of going over to Cracker Barrel because they've got such great air conditioning. Well, yes, I love your biscuits too. Well, that's wonderful. Yes, I think a will is really important.
And this ultimately leads to Mike calling, which is fucking hilarious. Let's listen to the Mike section, which is pretty fucking funny.
But if you'd like, you sound like you're outdoors. Are you staying out of the sun? It's a hot one today. I'm sorry, but Jimmy is unavailable at the moment. If you'd like to leave a message, Mr. Erman Trout. Trout like the fish. I hear Cracker Barrel has excellent air.
Hello?
I don't want to talk about Cracker Barrel.
this one really don't want to talk about Cracker Barrel. I love that. It's really funny stuff, and I love when they give Bob Odenkirk people to work with, because he's like such a hilarious guy, and I love just when they give him business to do, and she's just going to add to his business. So yeah, thanks for breaking her spirit on her first day, Jimmy says. So then we get to our next scene, which is where we meet Gus Fring and all of that. Jimmy perks up so much when he gets with Mike. Mike and Jimmy, Mike explains what he wants in the situation. He just tells Jimmy, I play Mike's comment because it's really cool how they do it. They have the car roll in and they have Mike's monologue over it. And then you see Saul, because I'm going to say Saul, because once he gets with Mike, he becomes Saul. He's almost like he's high and he's possessed, and he just becomes Saul Goodman when he's with Mike. So I'm your buddy here, like he's so pumped to be in this lifestyle, Joe. He loves every second he is with him. So before we get to that, though, let's play a very special voicemail that we have, Joe. We have a voicemail from a good fucking friend of the fucking show. Great to hear from him again. Our good buddy. Let's listen to him.
Yeah, Philly, it's Big J over here. I enjoyed this episode. I miss you guys. I see you talking about it now. I'm actually outside watching my son play basketball, man. What a fucking episode last night. I didn't really like the first one too much, but then I watched it again and I started to like it. But I'm not I'm not a big Breaking Bad guy. I did enjoy the show, but I think it's cool the way they're putting it together now.
Yeah, and I before I play the rest of your message, that's me too. Like, as much as I did like the first episode a little bit more than you, Jay, I appreciate it even more after watching the second episode.
Yeah, much more.
But I'm gonna try to call you guys live. I gotta find out if you have a live number. But I enjoyed it. Glad you guys are back on. It's been a long time, and yeah, that's it. I'm gonna call you back. All right, brother.
Awesome, Big J.
All right. Read the live number, Phil.
I'm gonna switch the voicemail number over to the live number. We're gonna have to hear that wonderful sound again.
Oh yeah.
You know what it is. So Big J, if you want to call back at some point, 781-990-8509. If anyone wants to call in the live number, it should work. It should work. Let me keep it open. So I'll keep that phone line.
What's the live number?
781-990-8509 for anyone that wants to call in right now. So I turned the voicemail line to take calls right now. So we might get to hear that amazing sound of the phone ring that we haven't heard in a while. Like I remember that first episode of Game of Thrones last season when it was like, okay. So we meet, Jimmy asks Jimmy to get breakfast at Pollo's, where they go through the henchmen. We keep an eye on him. It's a really funny physical scene. We kind of talked about this before, but Jimmy plays some really good piece of physical comedy by Bob Odenkirk. The way he goes up and orders the food, the way he puts too much sugar in his coffee and he's sipping his coffee and it's fucking awful. And he watches this guy. And the scene is also about Gus just kind of circles around the scene. You see him in the background, out of focus before you actually see him. And I just love how they kind of integrate him into the scene within this whole section, because there are few people in this world, Joe. I've talked to them that have never watched Breaking Bad, that watch Better Call Saul, that don't know shit about this guy. And there's
right. So it's important to introduce them without knowing anything.
Exactly. And also, there's one scene in this whole entire episode that bothered me. One scene when Jimmy, we'll get to it in a second, but I'll just talk about it now. When Jimmy and Mike are talking afterwards, and then they leave, and they focus on Gus taking out the trash, and he turns to the camera and gives the evil look. The only reason that bothered me is because I know he's evil, so I'm like, I don't need that look. But to anyone watching the show for the first time, I can already hear them talking from listening to their podcast. I can hear them talking in the writers' room. Well, there's going to be people watching this that don't know what the fuck's going on. We need to let them know he's evil, because otherwise they'd be like, why are we focusing on this dude? Like, what's the point? So I get that they put that in there because we're supposed to know who he is, and they want people.
They didn't need to.
I don't think they needed to put it in for me anyways, but they do need to put it in for the first time watchers. And you can't completely make a program just for the people that have seen Breaking Bad. They need to make it for a general audience on some level. So I understand it. I didn't like it. That was the one minor nitpicky thing that bothered me about this episode. He's looking, he's doing his thing, and then like he knows the camera's there, he goes, and I know he was pissed because he probably saw them and he was scowling, like how they played it in the scene. He was scowling because he recognized the cars or saw what was going on. But I thought it was too much of a wink to the camera.
A little bit too much.
So, yeah, I didn't get that look of Gus either, says Max. I mean, why did it have to be there? Yeah, it was almost just an unnecessary moment for the people that know who he is. Okay, so the introduction to Gus, though, is done well, where it leads up, and once he brooms past Gus, cut past the henchman, it's he takes whatever he needed to take, or they exchange something in some ways that we don't know how they exchanged it, and the guy takes off and leaves, and Saul's like, why'd he leave? I don't know what happened. Starts searching the trash. Does a really smart move where he unhooks the watch and it drops into the trash. Really slick. Super slick. And we get our introduction to Gus in this world. We get the first time that he talks in this world, where he just basically starts off with "Can I help you?" And it's in my imagination. I could be wrong. Is this the first time we've ever seen Saul and Gus interact? So it's also kind of cool from a Breaking Bad standpoint. If this is the first time you've seen two very prominent Breaking Bad characters actually interact. You've heard Saul talk about Gus, and I think you've heard Gus maybe once say the lawyer or something like that, but this is the first time you've seen the two of them talk, and both of them act really well with each other.
I can't say anything bad about any of the acting jobs on the show. I just can't.
It's classic, you know.
Yet to see anything I don't like.
I'd love you to give me a big acting job, Joe. Right on my.
Most people would.
Right on
most people would.
Right on my penis. So.
Most people would. Can I say? I got that je ne sais quoi.
You do. Can I help you? Yes, that's the first word. So we have this interaction between the two of them.
My watch clasp is lucid.
Yeah, I think the guy dropped it on the ground too, and Gus swept it. I agree, Trigger Man.
Yeah, they say a nice watch band is as important as the watch. That's what I get for cheaping out.
You'll find it for you.
So we get more of the Gus that we knew from interacting with Hank and interacting with the cops. It's cool to see that Gus. It's just a great interaction between the two of them. And we cut out to the car with Jimmy in the car. And yeah, I love how Mike acts with Jimmy in the car. So first, Jimmy tells the story, which is worth listening to every second of.
You want me to say it?
Just tell me what you saw.
He came in like he said he would. He ordered the number 3 with potatoes and coffee. Went bold with the extra salsa. He paid cash out of his left front pocket. Took his tray of food, sat in a booth on the east side of the restaurant, and put the knapsack on the floor.
Where on the floor?
Under his seat, between his legs. Nobody touched it. He didn't even look at anybody. Finished his meal in 5 minutes tops and skedaddled. Didn't leave anything.
Good point,
behind.
Max. Sorry about that. Good
Are
point,
you
Max.
Sure of that?
I literally checked the trash can.
Max says, I rewatched the scene in Breaking Bad when we first meet Saul and Gus, and Saul said he didn't know Gus's name. So I guess that means we won't get a lot more interaction between them, unfortunately, unless he was lying to Walt.
Nothing in there but trash. So, what's our next move, huh? Well, we gotta follow this guy? Because you got some real James Bond stuff in here.
Gus was.
Oh yeah.
Do you think Gus was suspicious of Jimmy?
Gus is suspicious of everybody, I would imagine, which is kind of odd that he's so public and all the time. But yeah,
I think so too. I think he was a little suspicious of Jimmy, and I think that's why Jimmy was panicking. We had that moment where Jimmy was trying to find the watch and all of that.
The ejector seat does it.
It
I think
doesn't.
we're done for the day.
get out.
That's it.
Yeah, exactly, Joe. It's the I'm done with you. Get the fuck out. He's like, and I'm sorry because I'm knee deep in this. He's like Don Draper with a hooker. He's just like, get the fuck out of my car. I used you. I am done with you. Get the fuck out. Get the fuck out of my house. So we and you also get him telling Mike that I've got who's got your back? Me. So we get a glimpse of Los Pollos through the rearview mirror, and then this is the scene that I was talking about where we get Gus just kind of sitting there like, what the fuck? So Mike tracks the restaurant. We get a fast effect to know he's been there for a while. He's taking notes on all the cars and all the poker hands he's doing. We get the speedy Cadillac Escalade with booming music that catches his attention. When he pulls to the back of the building, sure enough, it's the henchman from Breaking Bad, Victor. And Mike's pursuit of Victor ends in the middle of nowhere with the tractor in Victor's car. It leads him to an empty stretch of road. He goes out of the car, runs down the road, finds a phone on top of the gas cap with the phone ringing, and he answers the phone. What? What do you want? What? I love how Mike just doesn't give a fuck. He just answers the phone. What? What? You fucking fuck. Of course he's suspicious. He was retired nurse, great to hear from you. Of course, he's suspicious. He was formerly a cop, so everyone is suspicious. And so let's get into the final section of this episode before we call this a recap. Now, Chuck's deception. Yeah. So Chuck, for some reason, the phone didn't ring. Big J called, but the phone didn't ring. Let me fucking try to set this up again. Ring on incoming calls. Big J, try one more time. Sorry, buddy. I think it should work now. So, okay. So Chuck's assistant Ernesto arrives at Kim's, and Chuck planned this whole fucking thing and set this whole situation up. And Ernesto tells Kim tells Jimmy deals with a lot of situations with his clients and stuff, and then kicks all his clients out eventually, congratulates Francesca on her good day, and then it ultimately leads to a point where he just can't deal with it. Kim tells him that none of this can legally hold up in court, that they have the best of his situation, and there's nothing to worry about.
No, there isn't. And this makes no sense why he would go do this.
Exactly. Because I think he does this because he thinks he has nothing to lose. He does this because Kim, I'm not blaming Kim. This was Jimmy's fuck up, Joe. But he does this because when Kim tells him that, he's like, the tape means shit. You can't do shit with this tape. So I'm just going to go over and tell Chuck off. Or he emotionally just overcomes him. And I can relate. I sometimes can't keep my mouth shut when situations like this arrive. I'd have trouble not running over to Chuck's place. I don't know about you, Joe.
Yeah, but I'm an idiot.
Yeah, me too. Me too. So is Jimmy. I mean, Jimmy's an idiot like us. He's the same kind of idiot.
True.
Fucking A.
It makes sense for his character, like we were saying before. It makes sense for his character. It really does.
I love how proud Jimmy is of his spy work. Very funny. Says Lily of the Fox Valley. He never looked away from the guy he was stalking. Gus realized it and canceled the delivery. Maybe he canceled delivery. That's a possibility as well.
The other guy could have canceled the delivery as well by what trash barrel he uses, by the fact that he took it with him. You know?
No, 100% Joe. And let's see. Let's go back here. So ultimately, Francesco did a good job. He runs over there. And here we go into this big fucking scene, Jimmy. Let's listen to fucking Jimmy fuck everything up.
Oh, yeah. Way over.
Oh, no. I forgot my favorite part of the entire episode, Joe. My favorite fucking part of this entire episode is watching fucking Howard sneak into Chuck's house.
That was great. Trying to jump over the like his little hops.
Dude, it literally was the best thing ever. Like, he's just like, I'm trying to jump.
It was hilarious. It was absolutely hilarious.
Dude, it was one of the best points of physical comedy ever. It was just great. It was great. It was so funny. I rewinded it like 3 times and watched that section. It just cracked me up more and more.
It was definitely worth a good rewind. It was funny.
Fuck, dude, it was hilarious. So,
he does that character so well.
He really does. He's incredible in that part. So, okay. So we find out that the man with the cards at the beginning is a private investigator with Howard's approval, and it's just hilarious as he enters Chuck's house. Chuck hired 24-hour surveillance of his house in the event that Jimmy tries to break into his home and steal the tape. Harold is a bit skeptical of the whole situation, that it's going to work. You know, it's been 8 days till they set the whole thing up. Now, he goes, no, I know my brother. My brother's going to break in here in the middle of the night in the dark. And right as he says he's going to break in here in the middle of the night in the dark, like right on cue, here we go. Jimmy comes into the situation like a fucking idiot.
Kicks in the door.
Yeah, kicks in.
Oh, damn it. Open it, Chuck.
Jimmy, go
Open
away.
the door. Open it now. I swear to God, Chuck.
Yeah. Sorry, I just want to get a couple of comments. Always keeping his jacket on like a douche. He's like, I'm too rich to be doing this shit.
Yep.
You take me, you asshole. Jimmy, you pulled that heartstrings con job on me.
The camera work in the scene is amazing. It's like a hand cam, and I usually don't like shaky cam stuff, but they follow shaky cam down with Saul in the situation as he's running in. I think it works really well. Similar to the Jesse scene when Jesse's pouring gasoline all over Walt's house in Breaking Bad. It kind of has a shot slightly similar to the way that he runs into his house here and just starts freaking out. Love it.
Piece of shit. Oh, my brain used to work. I'm sick. I don't know what to do. Asshole. No wonder Rebecca left you.
Oh, shit.
What took her so long?
Yeah, Joe, you're right. It's because he's an asshole.
There it is. Here we go.
Jimmy, Jimmy.
Oh. Is this it?
Oh my God.
Is this it?
This scene was just so fucking good, Joe. Like, this is the scene. You want to, like, and I know it's a long year, and I know you often tell me how full of shit I am for giving even a little crap about it, but this is the scene that deserves Bob Odenkirk a fucking Emmy for the best actor. Like, this is incredible, dude. This, like, Bob Odenkirk kills this. Like, when I knew Bob Odenkirk my whole life. We talked a lot about this last season. I didn't know Bob Odenkirk could be this good of an actor. I always knew he was one of the best funny actors in the world, but he just is incredible, and he brings it to a next level. The him and Chuck scenes last season and now this, which tops them all for me. This is fucking next level work by Bob Odenkirk, Joe.
I can't believe he hasn't won one yet.
Yeah. He's been nominated a couple times, or at least once, and he deserves it. He fucking deserves it. And
yeah, he does.
Fuck, man. Fuck, dude. Bob Odenkirk, you're awesome, dude. I mean, you're not listening, but if you were listening, fucking A, motherfucker.
You destroyed our family? You happy now? For what? For nothing!
Destroyed our family.
Is that all there is, Chuck?
Frick.
And then the looks. I mean, this isn't even giving justice to how...
Chuck? Huh? You tell me or I'll burn this whole goddamn house to the ground! Jimmy!
Harold holds back the detective, too, from going out there for a few more seconds. There it is.
Oh, there it is. There it is. Wait 1 second. There it is. Oh, sorry, everyone. That was the sound. Everybody. Whoa. Answer the fucking phone, dude. There you go. I'm answering the phone. Ladies and gentlemen, how's it going, Big J? What's up, buddy?
My Boston brothers.
What's up, my New York buddy?
Big J.
How's it going, my friend?
Yo, how funny was the lady, the secretary, when she saying Mike Ehrmantraut and like a fish?
Like a fucking fish. That and watching fucking Mr. Suit Howard running around
trying to hop the fences.
That fucking.
I'm telling you, yo, you guys look fucking awesome, man. You're lucky I'm not a girl, man. I'd be trying to rape both of you guys.
Oh, Big J.
You all got the beards. The beards are looking fresh. You guys are all ready, huh?
Big J, you can't rape the willing, buddy. You know, you can't.
Yeah, it's not rape if they're pushing back.
Yeah,
right?
I've seen you, man. You're a handsome man. You're a handsome man, dude.
I tell you, all those drugs and drinking must have helped me somehow. Must have preserved me, man.
Preserved, yep.
Oh, one thing I wanted to mention. I mentioned it on the voicemail. I left you another voicemail. Now, the first episode, I liked it. The second time I watched it. Now, did you notice towards the end of last year, Kim was wearing a Kansas City Royals shirt?
Yes,
that
I did.
Stood out to me. I know the way these fucking guys think, man. They're like geniuses.
Yeah.
You know, the guys who write the show. Now, last week he had that lunchbox that said Kansas City Royals. I'm a sports guy too, so I remember all of this shit. That means something.
I think maybe, and I've heard this rumored a little bit, but it could possibly mean a foreshadowing to Kim's location later on. And if we go to the Gene stuff, like the black and white stuff, maybe that might be where she ends up after all of this, and where he is. And I know he's in fucking Nebraska or some shit, but that's like,
yeah.
Like maybe there could be some comparison to that. I don't know. Or I've heard
with the Royals. I just remember she was gonna because they beat my fucking Mets, so of course I remember that.
But no, I actually noticed that. I noticed that too. That's a good pickup, Jay. That is definitely a very good pickup.
Yeah, the Royals shirt, and then I'm telling you, you know these guys. They don't just throw shit like that in for nothing. They didn't put the Cubs, or you know. I'm telling you, she's laying at home right now, fucking clean shaven down there. And she's like, come on, Saul, baby. You know? Get some of this shit, man. She probably shaved it up nice for him. And I think, I tell you, she's got a little bit of a man voice, but I could work with that. I think that's a little sexy too, you know?
Oh, I love you, Big J. It's great.
I love you guys, man.
Great to have you back, Big J.
Good to hear from you, my man. Good to hear from you.
Definitely call in all season with your thoughts, buddy. Guys. Great to see you, my friend. All right, so you're a Mets.
You guys look awesome.
So you're a Mets fan. Are you a Giants or a Jets fan?
Oh, fucking please, Jets.
I'm sorry.
Sorry. That's
that 5 Super Bowl rings, right?
Yeah, that's true. You got. I mean, ultimately,
Brady's the man.
That's a rough existence for your division.
You guys had Belichick. They traded him away. Remember that fucking weird shit? I'm sorry. I don't want to go down to sports. That day that Belichick's like, I'm being traded from the Jets to the Patriots. Some fucked up shit going on.
He's like, fuck that. Yeah. He's like, fuck this. The Jets stand for JETS, just end the season.
I get it.
Horrible franchise, man.
I get a feeling
that
that most Jets fans, because I know a bunch of Jets fans. Jets fans, it's like they love the Jets for sucking in some ways, right? Like you love the Jets in spite of all that, right? Like
and I'm a Mets fan. It's unconditional love. It teaches you about unconditional love.
Yeah, but the Mets won. I mean, the Mets,
having
like,
that heartbroken, Phil. They're masochists.
The Mets, Darryl Strawberry, Dwight Gooden. Those are some of the best players of all time, right there.
You live in a better sports town than me. You got the Red Sox who've been winning like crazy. You got the Patriots. You know, I mean, I was up in Boston one time. I know you guys you're a little bit off of Boston, right?
Yeah, a little north.
Suburb.
Yeah, a little north.
You're close though, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I got to write up. Me and Marie have been talking about going going that ride up to New England, man.
Well, if you ever do, we'll definitely come out and meet you somewhere for a drink, dude.
Brother.
Cool.
And I told you the meatballs still stand, man.
Awesome, bro. Oh, I can't wait.
You know what it is? They took so long with this show to come back that I didn't lose my flavor, but it was like weird. It was like weird when I first seen the first one. It was like, where the fuck have you been, man? Like you don't know how to act. Now I'm. That last episode last night was awesome, man.
Yeah,
with the humor, with the Cracker Barrel, with that secretary.
Sugar tits, baby. Sugar tits.
Honey tits.
All right, guys. I know you got a show to go. I love you guys.
Love you too, Big J. Talk to you
too,
soon,
bro. Good to hear from you.
Brothers.
Awesome. That's the one and only Big J, who's our Better Call Saul guy. Always awesome to have Big J, Joe. Love having Big J back.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Everything's better. And if Emily's out there anywhere, lots of love to Emily out there. Good lordy, good lordy, good lordy. Brooke Blackman says Yankees and Giants all day, every day. Okay, so the end of this episode comes where Jimmy freaks out on them. He keeps freaking out, losing his shit at the end here.
And you? I'm a witness.
Can I get a witness?
A witness, which is the title of the episode. And Jimmy seems to be busted. If we've seen previews for next week, it looks like Jimmy's actually going to be in jail. And could this be possibly where we get our Jesse Pinkman cameo in this whole section if Jesse is to be on this season of Better Call Saul? Because we do know that Jesse at one point in time knew Saul as a criminal attorney. So we're getting into that territory where if we are to get a Jesse sighting, because Jesse knows about Saul and he's the one that suggests Saul to Walt. So we talked about this before. Maybe not him, but maybe what was Jesse's buddy's name that he sold meth with in the first season? Emilio? I think his name was Emilio or something like that, where Saul got Emilio off a bunch of times. So we're gonna start to catch up with some of those characters. So if we're to see Jesse, we might be getting into that area. So another great episode. Joe, thank you so much for joining me this week. I know you won't be with us next week, but you'll be with us in a couple of weeks talking about episode 5, I believe. Yeah. Am I doing my math correctly? No, episode 4. Episode 4. I'm not doing my math correctly.
I'll be on the evens.
Yes, you'll be on the even ones. Yes. So Joe, thank you. And everyone in the live motherfucking chat, thank you so much for joining us for this Better Call Saul. Let's clear some of the chats. Lily of the Valley says, didn't Kim say that's where she was from? Yeah, she might have said she was from Kansas City. That could connect to it as well. I don't remember that, whether she said that or not. Kim will end up as a waitress in some rundown diner in the middle of nowhere. Saul's the kind of person that wrecks everyone around him, even though he has a good heart. Iron Throat says, Yankees, wanky me, witness me. Spray Crow in the mouth. I like that you do this on Tuesdays. Ren, I might end up doing this on Tuesdays, even on my alone times. It's just doing it every other.
I could be in on them all if we do it. If we make it a Tuesday thing this time.
Maybe, Joe. I think occasionally, if I'm like up and crazy awake, I might do that. And if not, you and I will just catch up on a Wednesday stream about it on the weeks that you don't.
Word.
Cool. So Max says, thank you for a great podcast. No, thank you guys for a great motherfucking chat. And I think for the most part, it probably will live on Tuesdays. I just know sometimes I'm friggin' like right after the episode. Yeah, I'm anxious and I just want to fucking run in there and just get it and just have some fun right away. So, and on those weeks, we'll try to do our Wednesday podcast so you can get your thoughts in. So no, thank you, Red Walrus, Max, Broke, Ren Renwood, Claudio, Iron Throne. I also wanted to mention that we have a new T-shirt store open where we have Sir Ulrich's issues program or FOP sigil. So we're going to start putting a bunch more T-shirts, get the Shit Buddies thing up, get Fresh Prince of Westeros, get Go Hug Yourself in the Feel the Issues Guy shirt. So look for those links coming up if you're in the Discord group or you're in the Facebook group or the Google Plus group. Check that out, and I'll be sharing that stuff and put that in the description box below too. If anyone's interested in grabbing some T-shirts, that would be fucking awesome. So everybody, thank you so much for checking this out. We will talk to you next time as I'm stalling for some music. If you haven't already and you enjoyed this video, hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button and please share it with a friend. If you have any questions, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, call 781-990-8509. Leave a voicemail or a text. You can always email me at IGotIssuesMan. Follow me on Twitter at IGotIssuesMan. Follow Joe at Dirty Locks. Check out Dirty Issues Gaming for Joe and I's video game streams. I'm probably going to do some Zelda
streams too
on tomorrow night or on Thursday. Joe's been doing some more Last of Us, and Taka's always doing some amazing stuff with the Brohawk blog and Cosplay Melee and Into the Badlands. So definitely check out all of Taka's stuff over there as well. Everyone, thank you so much. Oh, Iron Throne says Fresh Prince is epic. Thank you so much. I had a lot of fun doing that. We all had a lot of fun writing that, and I'm excited for anytime you guys can share that video and get it to more people. I appreciate that. So everyone, thank you so much. We'll talk to you guys next time.
Peace.
Thank you.